Let's see. Okay, so this is it. This is SEO this week, episode 147, the first episode of 2020. And with that, y'all know I took quite a break, but I've got 13 stories now to, 14 actually. I think I added one right at the last minute that we'll go over. Some really, a lot of this is tips. There's some how-to stuff that I thought was really cool. Some case studies, and then the ever popular social media image sizes post that everyone's been putting out or is going to be putting out for the next couple of months. So we kind of cut through that crap and just go ahead and show it to you right off the bat. And then I want to talk about the evolution of SEO this week. As you all know, I am now the face that runs the place over at SIA, doing search or SEO tests, etc. We are going to be starting a big membership push here pretty soon. I'm trying to get some more people in. At the same time, I'm redesigning my agency site, and I am also getting the two softwares I've been talking about like forever and a day, the Anchor Text software. I actually have the software now, but it's written in Java, but it's not packaged right. So like I could give it to you guys, but you'd have to know that you have to install Java on your machine, and it's just kind of a pain. So it's not like a game ender. It probably can't stop me. So I can like give it out for beta testing. If there's a few of you that want to try that out, just kind of reach out to me. If you have my Skype, that'd be the best. And what we'll do is just get you access to it. In order to use it, you got to have Ahrefs. So there's just no way around it. We have spreadsheet importing available to it, but I haven't tested that yet. So if you want to be in the beta test and check that out, then that's probably the best way to go. We will be giving that. We're going to do an initial sale so I can get some of my money back. I invested way too much money in the development of that thing. But we're going to sell it first and get some of my money back, and then we'll make that part of SIA. So if you're an SIA member, you're going to get access to that tool. The core automator software, that was all done, and then we got to licensing mode, and the code that was written by one developer is not compatible with the licensing system. So rather than trying to shoehorn it together, which could create some issues later, the devs are going to rewrite everything a little bit, make it all more compatible, make sure it works with the new Cora, and then we'll be able to push that out. I haven't told this before, but I've been told that the core automated software will be done tomorrow and integrated into the licensing system. So I'll be able to give out some betas for that too, just to make sure that, it's all working with the bells and whistles. So I'm looking forward to that. What else? If you don't know, I've been telling you that I'm going to do a course one of these days. So whatranks.com is up. It's I have the domain. I just got to actually plug in the stuff. I picked the community. I'm going to go with the community model. So I have a theme CMS thing that's hooked together with LearnDash. So the site's it's gonna have the Facebook feel, but not so much Facebook. And then we'll go from there. I'm going to put the courses out on What Ranks. I am going to sell them at one-off prices at What Ranks. And then that'll lead into membership into SIA. So if you want just, let's say you just want my on-page course and that's all you ever want, that's all you ever need, then you can get all that at What's Ranks. But if you want all the courses I release in the future, and you want to get all the test results and all that stuff, you join SIA, and then you kind of just boom, everything gets turned on for you. on both sites. On top of that, Dory will be doing some courses, and then we'll try to reach out to some other people to get some other courses done. I'm looking forward trying to find someone that is in the affiliate space. SEO isn't all that much different in affiliate versus a national or e-com for that matter, just depending on how you set up your websites, right? So, but knowing how to find the offers, knowing how to make those relationships and stuff. I'm trying to find someone for that for SIA and kind of create a course behind that. Jeff Lenny seems like the obvious choice. However, we don't want to put it in something in like a. We want someone who's going to actually give you open the closet. You know what I mean? Not just give you the face value stuff. So we'll see how that works out. And if I end up having to do it, then that's the way it'll be. But hopefully we can find someone who's known and can handle that kind of training for everybody. So, but we are excited. We're excited what's going on. Ted Kubitis released his testing tool. I don't know if you guys know that. That thing is out there in the wild, and it is free for everyone to use. I actually deployed my first test on it, 15 sites, 25 pages each site. We're testing different TLDs to see how they do ranking. First phase is complete. I got to roll up the leaderboard today. That first phase was I buy the domains, we set up the sites. Ta-da, Google's supposed to find them, right? In the wonderful world of fairyland, Google will find that Google will find the websites and index them. And I can tell you from phase one that is not true at all. And when I say Google will find them, is the theory was just buying them, and Google's a registrar, so it knows the site's there, it'll go out and find them, right? Well, that's not the case. Not one of those pages or not one of those sites indexed. So now we know that. The next phase is going to use Colinkery. What we want to do is force a crawl. We're not submitting it to Google Search Console yet. In this case, we just want to force the Google bot to get there. So typically it would get there how, like a backlink or something like that. But we want to see if Google indexed these pages just because Colinkery said, hey, Google Robot, look, these pages are there. Will it do it? And we'll see what that indexing rate looks like. And in phase 3, we'll close it out with a test of adding all the sites in the Search Console. We'll put all the URLs on the index page and submit the URLs in Search Console that way. And if that doesn't do it, then I'll do it one by one. And I'm not looking forward to that. So hopefully phase 3 works out. So that was that one. Martin asked, will there be differences in Kyle's on-page course? Yep. Be significant differences. I think Kyle teaches really well. I have his course. I like it, but I want to be able to I've always thought of SEO as in you should be learning from other people. You learn from me, you learn from Ted, you learn from Kyle. That's all great and wonderful, but you should have your doors open to more stuff. So when I do my course, I'm going to I'll be straight up and tell you that I will teach you stuff that other people have taught. Or I'll teach you how to think of different ways to use and leverage things like the semantic mastery guys. Those guys are pros at iframes and ID pages and Google Stacks, etc. Right? I'll teach you a different way to look at those, how to apply those, and then how to take that into your own workflows. And on top of that, how to test it and come up with new ideas. And the basis of that is something that I learned a long time ago. Is you can buy 100 courses, or you can buy one course. Like I've owned and been a member of OMG since it was a video ebook. I don't know if you guys have been around that long, but when Greg and Mike released OMG Machines, it was a video ebook. And I've been a member of them since, and I'll continue to be a member of them because I like learning. but I take those, I take the Ryan Stewarts, I take the Semantic Masteries, I take the Brian Deans, I take the Glenn Allstops, even a little bit of it, Matt Diggity, Ted, Kyle, and I make my own thing. Because if you're doing what everyone else is doing, uh, you're not you're not different, until you could get caught up in a sweep, assuming something happens, like some of the Becker software stuff, that worked for a little bit. He sold it, and then a sweep went through, and everything was dead, right? That kind of thing happens with a lot of tools and trainings and methods. So I always like to be forward-thinking on that. So that's where my course is going to do. I'm actually doing a website. I'm going to do a full website. We're going to do the I don't know if you guys remember, I did a thing on roofing, and we were targeting Miami roofing, and I just lost steam. I just kind of really lost interest into it. I didn't have any scope. Where am I going with this? What am I going to do with it? I was just like, yeah, let's try this. You know what I mean? So it was kind of half-assed, if you want to think about it. But we're going to just go right from the beginning. Keyword research, site setup, platforms. I'm going to show you how to use Map Pro, MAMP Pro, to set up a WordPress install on your computer that you can break over and over again before you start dinking around with the live versions. I'll show you how to carry that over and be able to update that automatically through Map Pro and FTP. So that's going to be good, and we're going to go right from 0 to ranking through that whole process. I could give you, some examples of rankings that we've done and using the process and that, but there's two things that'll be missing. One, you'll never see the sites because I'm not going to expose my client sites. And then two, you won't know the keywords, and you just have to kind of, trust me. So, and kind of frankly, that model in the SEO world sucks. But that is what it is. People are out their sites in trainings, and then other people fry them because they have, tiny penises and think that makes them a man. I guess I'm not sure how that works. But what we'll do is go through. You'll see the entire process of the roofing site. If it's killed, it's killed. There's nothing we can do about it. But it's not my primary moneymaker, and it won't be. We'll also create a directory during the process of that. Just because I've always wanted to create a directory, and then we'll start digging around with some Amazon stuff, because I've got a couple of domains I've been sitting around, and best wishes collection over at the domain registrar, and we'll see about doing some affiliate. So you'll have PPL or local, however you want to look at that. You'll have some directory stuff, which is pretty much local, and then we'll have affiliate. And I think that kind of rounds out everything, and it'll make it all good. And then plus at the same time, we'll apply what we're doing with the with SIA and the test results and adapting and overcoming. So that'd be cool. Let's see, Jasper, if you include teaching on how to build Google Stacks, I will die with joy. Yeah. I think the Google Stacks thing is, there's so many different ways to do it. I don't want to give away the way that Semantic Mastery does it, but I will say that those guys have the best method to build the stacks. Unfortunately, it's also the longest. Like, it takes even me doing them. If I built one of those stacks out and you build it out the right way the Semantic Mastery teaches it, it takes you a good 4 or 6 hours at first, and then you can kind of fly through them a little bit better. But I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that, so I just hired Jessen, the guy who did all the videos. He's a dude over in the Philippines. He made all the videos for Semantic Mastery on how to build those, and I just cut out the middleman and I hired Jessen. But I'm going to show you how we look at those, some things you can do with them, and all that stuff. So that'd be pretty cool. And Steve Buchanan, he's excited to see what this course is going to look like. Me too. It's killing me is I don't want to come out with junk. You know what I mean? I want to have a good course that's going to have some quality, but at the end of the day, I also know that this is SEO. It is foundation. It's all the same stuff. And if you're not getting slapped in the face over and over again to do the basics, then something's wrong. So I want it to be enough that it's a new person can come in and check it out and get something out of it, but someone who's advanced and already knows a lot of the basic stuff will be able to kick in. And then yeah, and Martin said the black hat and gray hat methods. I'm putting those in there too. We'll look at specifically some softwares that I use. I won't show you guys anything that I don't use, but I won't show you everything that I do just because I don't want to get you in trouble. But we will look at Money Robot and the uses for that. Believe it or not, that turd's still kind of useful. We'll look at SEO AP, Ranker X, GSA Search Engine Ranker, and XRumor. We'll look at some Scrapebox stuff, and then we'll talk about. I will expose you to SAP, but kind of like it's a buyer beware thing. So we'll see how much I want to go into SAP just because it's so hard. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Let's say what it is. SAP is a pain in the ass to set up. Getting the accounts, getting your money there, opening it up, buying the sites, and all that stuff. And then you all know that SAP is essentially it's hacked websites. So there's another high significant level of risk right there too. Is the Russians, they got access to these sites either by hook or by crook, and so we have to do that too. So we'll look at all that stuff in the future. I'm going to have the outlines done. I kind of want to have the outlines done this week so that I can open up what ranks and you can see the outlines. And then you can either wait for me to finish it or just buy that particular course now, and then as I finish it, watch the videos. It's really kind of up to you. I don't care. So but this is me. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm pretty excited about the courses, what we're looking at for SIA. Dory's got a meeting with Perry Belcher, so we're getting ready to start like I said, a push. Our goal is 250 new members every quarter. So I think it's certainly reachable, and we can do it in a responsible way and be responsible stewards of the community at the same time. So looking forward to it. Okay, so let's get on to the news. Jesus, blabbed on forever. I know someone's like, shut up. Here it is, episode 147. I see I'm updated. We got the SEO representing now. Again, I got 14 stories in here, pretty good. This hopefully will be the last or second to last that you'll get to see this design, and we're changing it up. I got the whole new one working. I turned off my server on my computer, else I'd show that to you. Hey, Ted, what's up, man?
Hello, sorry I'm late. Things are just crazy today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward. We'll have a conversation about that too. If you guys don't know, internetmarketing.gold, the new version is out. And we'll talk to Ted about that. Okay, so Stuart Toth or Steve Toth. Is it Steve Toth? What the heck? I think it's Steve. SEOnotebook.com. He put this together in the middle of the year. Just kind of, he's the lead SEO over at FreshBooks. He was able to get some outstanding results, and then he decided, hey, all these smart people are putting stuff together, and I'm using it. Let me create something cool out of it, and he did that. And it's called SEOnotebook.com. We've highlighted them a couple times. But I wanted to make sure that you guys revisit this. This is an excellent resource. It's not like SEO This Week. It's not like other newsletters that throw a ton of crap at you. He gives you one thing in that newsletter release to implement. And this is the roll up. These two posts is part 1 and part 2. The links are both on the episode page. I have some great information on them, and just go in through and check them out. And in these particular, I think I kind of agree with his roll up. You know, he's impartial or partial to his what he thinks are the best ones, but I think he actually did a good job with this, and I concur on that. So check those out. And then this one here is the most recent one. It's a Google My Business strategy. Um, Implementing or using Google Vision. So if you don't know what that is, you go in there, you throw an image in, and then it tells you the things that the algorithm sees. And now it also gives you entities. And the idea behind this is, let's say, and I'm just going to stick with the guitar. You're a guitar teacher. You have a kid in there. He's got a guitar. He's doing the musical instrument. And these are the kind of photos you want to put in your GMB post. So you can, and here he says you should go out and make real photos. But obviously, if you're an SEO doing something for someone in, if you're in Arizona like I am, and you got a client in Maryland, you're not going to be able to go out there and make specific photos. And typically, knowing clients, they're not going to make them for you either, or they say they will, and 3 months later, you got to keep banging them on the face. So, but go out and actually craft some photos following this philosophy and using Google Vision, Google Cloud.google.com Vision, and make sure that the entities pop in there for what you're seeing on your competition and what you see in your market. And leverage those. That's a pretty cool idea. I like it. And he said in the beginning that he got that from someone in Chiang Mai, an unnamed source. But I think that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to implementing that and trying that out. And I suggest that you do too. Which kind of jumps on the bandwagon of entities and stuff. And thank goodness Ted finally put that into a TextRaiser integration in Cora, so you can see more of that and the value of that. So that'd be awesome. This one is from DanielKChung.com, is local SEO for service area business. And then this is in relation to the GMB optimization. It's kind of a big deal because Google typically is not showing service area businesses in a 3-pack anymore, which is kind of disheartening. But it also takes a look into account that some businesses are service based, like they go to your house kind of thing, like a plumber, electrician, and stuff. And I think that Google should transition over into showing for those types of businesses. Why show the office building? You just want to know if there's service your area, right? So they're working on that, and I think those are some improvements that GMB can make. But in the meantime, we have to actually learn how to optimize these a little bit better. And this guide is actually one of the better ones that I've seen to do it. I've seen different methods to pull this off. Lee Witcher over at Internet Marketing Gold, he's a friend of mine. He's actually doing some testing and leveraging this and kind of seeing that spread out. And I think that's awesome. This is, I believe this representation here is actually Jordan's. I'm not really sure on that, but it looks familiar. But going through and figuring out how to rank these service area businesses is really important. I think you're going to get a value out of that in this post in particular, because if you see here, and it's been my experience that service area businesses, if there is one on the first page, it's typically going to be up on top. Just to kind of help out the user. And that's been my experience. I can get them pinned to number one in the maps, and then not so much in the local pack, using map embeds and other techniques. So I think it's pretty interesting. So go through here, read this post, check it out, and see how you can leverage it. Obviously, he's had some success with it. And I recommend you at least try it, add it to your toolbox, and see what you get from that. Next is how to create SEO reports. Not really shown a Moz post in quite some time, but this is from Sirius, so or Cyrus. Jeez, give him a whole new name. And basically what he goes through is some different things to look for and what to add into your SEO reports to kind of make them a little bit better. The cool thing that I like here is conversions is his KPI choices. There's conversion goals, ranks and downloads, and then traffic. Not one time did he talk about ranking in any of this stuff, which kind of carries over to what Ted's taught us for like forever, and he's beating it on his drum, is you should be tracking revenue. And I think conversions, goals, signups, and downloads kind of get you closer to that position where you can actually track revenue. So, and then tracking traffic month over month and year over year. In our adult clients, in that market, the sites are so big that we don't even mess with ranking reports. We're following the traffic. What is the traffic telling us? And how are we doing it? And as the SEOs for those particular clients, we don't get to see their conversions and signups and all that madness, but that's okay. We can kind of figure that all out using traffic, and as long as they're paying us, we got a new client now. They're paying us $50,000 a month for adult sites, and it's awesome. As long as they keep doing that, then we're going to keep doing traffic year over year, month over month, and showing improvement. So that's what they're looking for.
The story I like to tell is that when I first launched Quora as a product, it's like brand new and wasn't market tested. Still a lot of questions and doubts and everything about it. One of the early adopters was an SEO who only did SEO for law firms. And he made all the adjustments that Quora recommended. And he came back and he was like, Ted, I'm sorry to tell you, my rankings didn't change at all. They didn't move a bit. And it's like, oh no, that's horrible. That's terrible news. He was like, but I'm in the lawyer space, and our keywords are typically $75 to $150 a click.
Yep.
And even though the ranking didn't change, after making all those changes, my organic traffic nearly doubled.
Nice.
So it was pure money, but it wasn't rankings. It was organic traffic that moved.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things we have to do better as an agency. I know, I do a digital ear over the top as well, is translating what we're doing, which is typically it's code and they don't understand it anyway, into something that they can see. And traffic and, like you said, revenue are two of the best ways to do it, in my opinion. So especially for our ecom people. We had one that their corporate board is expecting a drop in their it's in fishing, it's fisheries, commercial fishing, and they're expecting a drop in the season, right? And it was this is the funniest conversation I've ever had in my life. Last year, you got us 34% increase of revenue throughout the year, on top of what they were already doing, right? This year, you only did 17. We want to quit. We're like, seriously? But it's a good sign for us because we know that they're following the right metrics for what we're teaching. 17% improvement. There's people that would die for 17% improvement.
Yeah, double digit year after year.
Yeah.
You should have smacked them.
Yeah. Well, I probably would have. This was why I don't talk to clients a whole lot anymore. But that's, it's a good point, though, is getting your clients looking at that versus traffic. I mean, versus rankings. My fence guy, he's old school. I've had him forever. He is the cheapest client that we have, and he's only paying me $800 a month. But I like him. I like his family. I like in the way he works, so he kept him around. And he's actually yells at me when I don't send him an invoice, which is kind of cool position to be in. But he's the same way. We're looking at what is his phone calls looking like, what is his traffic looking like. It's fencing, custom fences, so he knows that traffic is not going to be like crazy. We can get all the rankings you want, etc., but if people aren't searching for, we get it. So his conversion and his measurement for us is phone calls, which is cool. So
Yeah, what a lot of novices in SEO don't understand is that moving from 60 to 30 is a very easy jump to make in SEO, but moving from 30 to 3 is exponentially more difficult, and moving from 3 to 2 is exponentially more difficult. um, especially when it's a search term that has significant search volume. If the search term has no volume, then it doesn't matter. You can get number one all day and night.
Yeah.
But if you're competing on a real term, it's very hard to get movement in the best rankings, and it's very easy to get movement in the worst rankings. And when you're in the best rankings, once you're number 4, you don't really want to focus too much on the ranking because you're missing the opportunity, which is traffic. It's very easy to get 20% more organic traffic on that ranking than it is to go from 4 to 3.
Yeah.
And so you got to expand your perspective to encompass more than just the ranking.
Yeah, that's what we tell all our clients, and especially when I'm on a phone call, is where I'm looking at the top. I'm looking for the top 3. I don't care if I'm number 1, as long as I'm in the top 3. And then after that, it's CTR. What can we do to capture the click from the other people around us?
And I'd even argue it's even more fine-grained than that, because it's really dependent upon the CPC of the keyword and the search volume. If there's 1 million, monthly searches on that keyword, being 13 is awesome.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And if the average CPC on that is $57, being number 13 is still amazing. That's still money in the bank. So it's all relative to the characteristics and value of the keyword.
Very true. Very true. Okay, and the rest of this is some other things you can add to your report: search visibility and share of voice. I have to look into this one a little bit more. Share of voice, and he's basically using stat and showing how much your keywords are popping in voice search, which is pretty interesting. So I didn't dig in too much of that. This part here, the stat does an excellent job, but I want to do that. And then looking at site health and stuff, content performance opportunities, these are pretty much things that I think most of us have already seen. But those two are actually really cool. I like this because, one, it's Cyrus. He actually puts out some good stuff. If you're not following him on Twitter, you should be. And then 2, you can combine with something like a Ryan Stewart, what he's done over at the training or the blueprint, and with his sheets that David made for SEO reporting and pulling in all that data and stuff. So combining those 2 ideas and coming up with something unique is really cool. How to dominate your branded search in Google. This is timely just because it's the new year. It's always good to be reminded that you need to focus on your brand. You should establish your brand first. Get when you do a search, make it so keep working on your branding until you get a knowledge graph to pop, and now you have a machine ID and you can go off and do very wonderful things. Branded searches are typically what brings us a lot of traffic across the board to all of our clients, whether it be local all the way to adult, as the brand is typically the number one thing that people are looking for. And that just comes with time, and time to figure it out and time to establish it and stuff. And there's some steps in here just kind of go through, and you can look at some of your reporting, etc., and figure out ways to get your brand going a lot better. And then even how to modify some things to increase brand queries to get it to say, damn it, Ted Kubitis is a brand, or Digital Ear is a brand, or What Ranks, or SIA is a brand, or Internet Marketing is Gold is a brand. So that's the key there. And then it'll go through and monitor your rankings. So blah.
What
this is actually pretty
me about brands?
What's that?
Sorry, just thought it was a fun derail. We hear from like largely the white hat community about how important branding is. And let's say you're a business that sells a commodity good like roofing nails. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So you manufacture, distribute, and sell roofing nails. You sell them by the pound. Somebody who's looking for a 10-pound box of roofing nails, do they really give a shit about your brand?
Yeah, I think branding it's a carryover from the real world marketing as opposed to digital. So when you're doing TV and stuff, at the end of the day, what do you want them to do? You want them to think of your brand and associate it to that product.
But
Um,
it's not applicable to all kinds of sales. Is
yeah,
you know,
it's not
if
like
you're
if I was
primarily
looking at roofing nails, and I would probably be thinking Home Depot.
yeah, so
Yeah.
if you're trying to move product and you're selling on Amazon, brand probably isn't your most important problem.
Yeah, I think from my perspective with branding in online though, even in your case with the nailing, I would actually still do it. I would still build a company out because what am I trying to generate? I'm trying to get Google to recognize them as an entity, and to give me that digital algorithmic credit of being a business. And once you do that, I find that it's a lot easier to do other stuff, and to capture ranking and stuff. Because now if Google is the math is acknowledged that I'm real, right? And that's where I think on the digital side, why branding is so important. In
Yeah,
your case, in your example, you're right. The White House crowd is not presenting it in that way. They're saying, hey, you should be a brand, you should be recognizable. When people think of you, you're top of mind. When you want a Subway sandwich, where do you go? Subway or Jimmy John's or Firehouse. You want insurance, you call Geico or Liberty Mutual, Liberty. Right, and that's where I think the white hat. Um, that's old school marketing with digital marketing, and they're kind of not, like you said, they're not combining those two ideas together properly. But on
yeah.
accident, they're actually doing good, in my opinion, for the business.
And I agree with you. Building a brand for manipulating algorithms essentially is part of the game. That's part of
Mhm.
how the game is played. But if you're having difficulty making payroll and you sell roofing nails, spending 4 weeks on branding probably isn't going to save the business.
Hey, but you're building backlinks at the same time. Damn you. All right, let's see. Search Engine Journal, Anna Crow, how to perform an in-depth technical audit. I like these because she actually, instead of, just turn on Screaming Frog, just turn on this and that, she broke down the different elements and different tools that you can do to kind of combine those together, and actually do a good thing. She lost some cred with me when she said the PageSpeed tool versus webpagetest.org, but we'll give her a pass on that. And then she combined some of the technical stuff. One of the things I notice a lot of these posts is they're talking about, oh, look at the keywords, look at the conversions, look at all that stuff. You're doing a technical audit. You're looking at the ones and zeros for a technical audit. And I think that if you put that inside of your technical audit toolbox, you're kind of convoluting the idea of what you're looking for.
And define technical audit, because I guarantee my technical audit is very different than somebody else's technical audit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And in my case, I'm looking at the ones and zeros. How's the code? Is there issues with the code? Is there issues with, how things are set up? Or is there something blocking the crawling? Blah blah blah. That to me is the technical stuff.
Yeah.
If you're saying, "Oh, is your content good?" That's not a technical audit. That's just, and that's a content audit if you want to give it a name. Um, and it, like the examples here, pagination and stuff like that. They use deep crawl heavily. I wasn't really a big fan on them just because the prices are so high compared to something like Screaming Frog. But we busted that over OTT, and actually I'm liking that a lot. So I'll check that out. And then they also combine Screaming Frog in here, and she does some good examples and settings and all that stuff. A lot of stuff that most of these do technical audit kind of posts miss out on. So I would definitely check this one out. Just as an aside, Ted, what else do you have Quora? I kind of use Quora to audit. It's not really a technical audit, but I kind of use it as part of my page audit. What else are you using? Like, what other tools would
Well,
you recommend?
the old school Google Search Console had a couple really nice tools for finding technical problems. And it was the HTML appearance, duplicate titles, and duplicate meta descriptions.
Yep, yep.
That is an excellent tool for figuring out if Google is having a problem crawling your site completely. Because if it's getting lots of duplicates, you're probably getting a very inefficient crawl of your website. And you have links that Google's following that they probably shouldn't to get those duplicates. And so cleaning that up can get you better overall indexing across the whole website and more frequent visitation from Google. If Google can actually get to 100% complete, there's probably a special status in Google going, hey, we visited everything versus, hey, we had to quit because we kept infinitely finding more URLs. Um, so Google's probably taking note of that, because if you think about it from Google's perspective, that's all cost.
Yep.
So if you can reduce costs for Google, Google would be stupid not to give you favorable marks on their end, saying, hey, we should go back there often. It's finite. It's fixed cost. They do a good job. And so when I think in terms of like page speed, page weight, rendering time, efficient crawling, that all comes back as technical audit for, how much of your content are you going to get indexed based on the system.
Mm-hmm.
So I start there. I'll look at other things. I'll look at parts of the technology stack. Are they using a CDN? Are they, because they're not using a CDN properly, are they wasting tons of bandwidth and making lots of asynchronous calls? Do they have H2 enabled on the server, which is a big performance boost? Do they have runaway cookies and JavaScript includes in their tag manager? Because large businesses often throw everything into tag manager, and it becomes this huge like web request bomb at the beginning of every page request. And you got to get in there and clean it out. And I'll even look at the security, because people will have 10 years of letting, 30 different companies and consultants have access to the whole kingdom. And they won't know. They gave everybody who ever requested access. And who is brightunicorn32@gmail.com? You were never strict about your access requirements. So now you have these weird aliases with access to everything. Mm-hmm. So a technical audit can get very detailed, and it probably should be. It's all the stuff you need to clean up and get in order.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's jump on to the next one. Is Matt Diggity. He did a case study, and should you put display ads on affiliate websites? This was pretty cool. So what he did is he took a site that was already making him $8,000 a month, which is risky if you don't typically test on something like that, especially if you're anticipating that it to fail. And then he put ads on it using an ad network. I'll skip through the mumbo jumbo, but you can see he actually talked about the placement and where to put it and all that stuff. And then his results. First, it did slow down his site a little bit, but he didn't notice any ranking drops from that. And then the BERT update came, and he acknowledged that his ranking report was probably corrupted because of BERT, which is that's okay. The time on page dropped a little bit, but has actually got an improvement in his conversions, which was pretty cool. So he's making another $28 a day, as it were, and ultimately it settled in at $1,200 a month extra. So the site was already making $8,000 a month. Now he's getting another $1,200 by putting these random ads onto his thing. which is another increase in revenue. So I think no one here listening would actually turn that down. So it's something to consider. I will let cat out of the bag is we tested something similar with AdSense, and we put it on some sites. And AdSense, every time we did it, AdSense dropped the site all the way to the bottom. My theory on that isn't so much as AdSense bad for your site; it's that the sites that we were testing, that we did the test on, were brand new, so there was no trust there. And if you remember the old AdSense site days, you would create sniper sites and throw up AdSense on there and make some money off of it. Well, my theory is that Google put something in place to kind of put you in the timeout box for a while, to make sure you're trustworthy and stuff, and then it'll pop in. But we won't know if I'm right until those test results get to percolate, like 60 to 90 days. I'm anticipating 60 days, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Part of the reason I was late today was I was caught off guard. One of Kyle's clients' keywords, which was for a very high volume, very high CPC keyword, was ranking great, got swapped out for an ad for the same page.
That's weird.
Yeah. So that's why I was late. I gotta call Kyle right after this. Go, Kyle, kill that ad, kill that ad. I don't know what they're doing, but that's scary, seeing something that ranks well for a high volume, high value keyword get swapped for a pay-per-click ad.
Yeah. So the PPC ad showed up.
And the organic listing just nowhere to be found. Fell out of top 100.
That's really weird. I wonder if I think stories like that is why people assume that Google AdWords and organic are tied together.
Yeah, I thought it was all tinfoil hat territory until I saw it this morning.
Yeah. I've seen something like that. I had Digital Ear was ranking for Seattle SEO. And I fell into the trap of, I should own the PPC place, I should own the map, and I should own organic. So I started my ads. The ads were incredibly expensive, and the leads that came from it sucked. So I turned it off. And when I turned off my ad, my page left Seattle SEO and went down to page 2, and I can never get it back.
Weird. That's like the opposite story of what.
Yeah.
So probably coincidence, but man.
Yeah, but that experience and what you said there, my experience, and I'm sure there's 100 other stories like it. That's what kind of leads everyone to think that those two are tied together. So it's pretty interesting. If that's the case, I'm just glad that Guy has turned off most of the Google Ads stuff for over the top SEO. So now we're killing it.
Well, it's so expensive. Like I could get 1,000 more visitors, per $10, at Facebook, because Google keeps corralling everyone into the same keywords with Keyword Planner.
Mm-hmm.
It just gets so cost prohibitive. And if you're selling a $40 average cart, you can't pay, $3, $4, $5 a click.
Yep.
Those $40 carts, they need to get in at the 25-cent click range. And that's hard to do on AdWords.
This case study is looking at Oreo and the brand addressable market size. So when we were talking earlier about branding and stuff, this is probably what your dream case scenario would be. This is written by Jesus Mecca. I don't know if you've ever seen or talked to him on Facebook and stuff. Really smart dude. So it was nice to see him writing again. But he's looking at the benefits of capturing when we're talking about your brand in digital. Obviously, you're not going to do this if you're a plumber or whatever like that. But it's good to see it and kind of take some of those lessons learned and do it on a smaller scale at least. But he walks through the process of seeing how you're doing and then seeing how you're doing for your brand versus your industry, etc. And then you can do that for your competition and kind of reverse engineer some of that stuff and see where you end up going from there. So this is a really good post. It's not overly technical. I know Jesus has written some stuff before that's kind of like way out there in brainland. But this stuff is just kind of how to leverage SEMrush to get some better data for your competition and keyword research, which is the number one thing you should be worried about as an SEO before you start doing anything. This is Deliveroo performance marketing over on medium.com is how they invented virtual neighborhoods for their PPC. I'm not going to go into much of the setup here, but to say what they did was this. They're like if you think of Uber Eats, Deliveroo is the same thing. They partner with these restaurants and stuff, and then we were doing PPC ads. Every business that signed up with them, they do a PPC ad and target the neighborhood around them. And as they grew, what they found that was just not scalable. It's, if you have 1 million of them, now you have 1 million campaigns targeting 1 million different neighborhood sets and all that stuff, and it just jacked everything up. And I think this is probably a good lesson for some people who have multiple locations. If you look at the map here, you have multiple locations spinned out. And basically what they do is they go from one point to another. So the two farthest part, like in this map right here, these two here are like the farthest part. So they'll put those and then find the center of that and then build a radius. And then that's their target area for their PPC stuff. I think that's a good way to do it. And to kind of narrow it down, and you're, instead of you giving, because if you try to do it with neighborhoods, like there might be a Union Station in Seattle, and then there might be one over in Chicago, and then there's one in DC. You know what I mean? So, and you can get a little bit convoluted and pay for clicks that you don't need. Where in this case, you are setting up essentially a service area and capturing all of your locations all in that one set of ad, which is really smart. So, they take, in this case, all the Chinese restaurants that signed up, for example, and then they'll do Chinese restaurant, and then they'll set up the ad for those Chinese restaurants, and then ta-da, there they go. It doesn't really break down much more beyond what I told you there, but you can see that they actually have a lot more results, and their costs went down. So when you're getting 166% improvement on your PPC, that's that's it was worth it. They literally stopped setting up ads for 6 months. He said in the post to set this all up. And that was a return on their investment of the work. So I think it's awesome. Nice shiny grass. It's cool. This is Name Pros. If you're looking into buying and selling domains names and stuff, then this is probably the website that you should join. It's namepros.com. It's a forum, and you can buy and sell domains, etc. But this came up with this really cool topic: is domain leasing. If you never thought of this before, there's a couple things like in the news. There's talking about people that are leasing out their subdomains. So Ted would go to KyleRoof.com and he would buy Cora.KyleRoof.com and set up a site and market it and leverage the main trust of the domain. So that's one way to do it. And the other way is, let's say Kyle owned a domain, Ted wanted it. Kyle didn't want to sell it, but he didn't want to do anything right now. He could lease the domain and pay a monthly or yearly, whatever that lease agreement looked like, to use that domain for his business and his website. It's an interesting concept, and it seems like a good way to keep money down. And then if you're a domainer, you can think about that as maybe something that you want to look at. The idea here, though, is there's some natural worries, and the main topic is how do you get over the bad stuff that could happen, i.e. Ted leases a domain for me and then goes out and decides he wants to be the spam king of India. And then fries my domain that was really valuable, and now it's not anymore. So how do you kind of prevent that kind of thing to happen? And then, lease to own options if you want to do that, and some other ideas on how to implement this this concept. When I found this is actually the first time I ever heard of it. I heard of the subdomain stuff before, but actually leasing like domains that would otherwise be out of reach to you, it seems like a really cool idea. Ted, have you ever leased a domain?
I think it would be so risky to do that, especially if you didn't know the people you were leasing to. Like they could use it for all sorts of phishing exploits against your own other businesses.
Or leasing from, you could build a whole brand and everything around that, and then they can just shut you off.
Yeah. There's that too. You know, there's just, I see so many risks in doing it, and yeah, I probably wouldn't. I'd be too nervous.
Yeah, I think you would have to do it if you're. Probably the only reason I would do it is maybe a known established company, and I had a good lawyer that knew all the ins and outs of writing this good contract and stuff. And
If it was somebody I knew well, like if I was leasing it to you, I mean, that would be one thing. But if I'm
that would
going
be
to
dumb
lease
because
it to,
I'm going to fry it.
but if I lease it to some stranger that I don't know and they're halfway across the world, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Martin says that domain leasing is huge in Europe, that's interesting. Yeah, DJ is a very common practice among domainers. So yeah, that makes sense. If you have a network of people and you bought a whole bunch of domains and stuff, and they're not sitting there, why not monetize them if you don't want to sell them right off the bat, but you don't want to just let them sit? You can lease them to people you know. So to me, it's amazing. I thought that was the coolest concept ever. But then again, all these people here, and like Ted said, there's so many things that could go wrong. So how do you protect yourself? And some of these people are experienced domainers. I'll never be, because I'm too cheap to buy expensive domains, or a whole bunch of them. I think I got like 100. That's about kind of my limit. And the most I've ever paid for one is like $800, and I almost cried that night when it passed the auction. So.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I have like two that are worth about $1,000, and everything else is garbage domain.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just too cheap. But that's cool. Check out that website though, especially if you're into expired domains, buying and selling domains, doing 301s for SEO purposes and stuff. Just get into that domainers community. Even if you have no intention, like me, I have no intention of going out and being a domainer, but it's still a valuable group to be into. You can kind of, maybe there's problems in there or something that you didn't think about. They can step off ahead. SEObutler.com, 18 of the top mines. I don't know about 18 of the top. I mean, Kyle Roof is in here, so it's not really subjective. But Matthew Woodward, Steve Toth, let's see, who else do I remember? Glenn, is that Gail? I think it's Gail. Matt Diggity, Ryan, and then I forget this guy's name. I want to say Kid, but he's not a kid. He just looks stupid young, but he's in the automation and stuff. But it's a decent thing. It's kind of one of those roll-up posts. This is the time, if you are thinking about doing a roll-up post, you probably knock that out and get it done now. Obviously, you can do them year-round if you want to, but this is a good time. Everyone's trying to build these and reach out to new and exciting people and stuff. So there's some good tips in here on top of that. So check out this post and see what you can see. Maybe you'll pick up something new. The old social media images, cheat sizes. There's so many of these posts, and you know why there's so many of these posts? Because the search term brings so much traffic, and it's such a pain in remembering and all that stuff and figuring it all out. What does my profile versus my cover photo, and fighting with all that madness. So they made SASs now that kind of help out, but things change, and these kind of posts help you keep up with that. I think it's really useful to have one of these in your bookmark, especially if you know that it's going to be updated a lot in this Make a Site hub here. He updates they update the site pretty regularly. So definitely a resource to put in the back pocket, especially if you want to make sure you're sharing and using the right type of posts and stuff like that. What I would do is send this to someone who's good with Photoshop and make a set for you. So you have your Facebook and whatever, blah blah blah, right? And put those into a set for you that you can, leverage over and over again, especially if you have a significant social media campaign presence going on multiple sites. So you just plop in your new image on top of your template, and everything's said and done. You're good to go, and you don't have to remember all these crazy numbers. But again, always put one of these that you know is going to be updated inside your bookmarks, so that you can come back and get it and do good stuff with it. I don't even know what this is. You know what this is, Ted? I don't recognize that icon. Missing out on the social network. I think this is WhatsApp. I think. I don't know what that is. That's Snapchat. But it's pretty cool. Another thing to learn here is, see this, that whole thing is an image. It's an infographic. And you see what they did is they created the embed code so that you can share it easily. This is something that you should be doing, especially if you're doing infographic marketing. I would probably leave some of this noise out. Sophisticated people are just going to delete it anyway. But this is a good way to build some backlinks to your pages, especially if you have it's set up to where this goes to the attachment page. So this would redirect to this, and then I'm building backlinks to that page. So add that too as a lesson learned from your content discovery stuff process. And this is the last one, is Jonah Alderson. Google have to improve their structured data reporting. And this is coming from a lot of the changes that you see in there. I think I have to give Google some credit. They're adding more and more tools to the new Search Console, but they're doing it smartly. It's slow, but when you get it, it works, right? And in this case, this person's gone and found some different things that some of the reporting has issues with, and I probably would be safe to say that you're not going to find all code instances in a way. Let's say this is changed a little bit and written in a kind of a little different way. It might cause an error and stuff from what Google's looking for. But there are some errors that you might want to look into. Just read this just so you have a I know. And in case that error shows up in your Search Console, it might be something to look forward to. My guess is, though, that this stuff is not going to be consistent. Like, things are going to get broken, things are going to get fixed, and kind of go along back and forth, and they'll add some new tools on top of that. And you just got to be aware that they have that little bug, as it were, and you'll be able to leverage the new Search Console in a much better way.
Yeah.
All right, geez, that's the longest one that we've done in a while. 14 stories.
When you have to analyze every web page on the planet, you basically have to handle every bug known to humankind.
Yeah,
That's what that problem is.
Yeah, so they're doing okay. I'll give them the credit there. Where credit is due. They're doing okay. They're providing us with a pretty cool tool. I'm using Search Console a lot more than I used to in the past now, and I think that was part of the intent, and I think that's good. So it's good. Question time. We're about an hour, so I'm gonna go fly through these real fast, and I think I got most of them as we were going, looking through. Yeah. One is from Martin. Do you know what the Google update between the 15th and 18th of December targeted? Besides a new forum post, no one talked about it and had a huge negative impact on some sites. Here's what I'll tell you from my experience. I can no longer say that the Google algorithm has never taken down a page of mine anymore. But the 16th, that change actually changed pages. A lot of my sites actually went up. Traffic stayed the same, but I had pages dropped from like 1 to 50 on a couple of sites in a couple of particular markets. And the page that dropped was actually the home page. And internal pages that were kind of related started popping up a little bit in the Quora version of the search engine, which you use NCR still, right? Google.com/NCR. And versus what we were seeing in the live data centers. So that tells me that in the case that in our case, I was dealing with one or two things. It was either my homepage or Google's deciding that homepages and local aren't important, and that didn't translate very well to me because looking at all the other search volume and stuff, the homepages were there. Or two, my anchor text ratios were screwed up. And it wasn't that I was over optimized, I was actually significantly under optimized for what the change was looking at. So that's where we went. And then I've seen other stories where people were looking at the contact us privacy pages. Sites didn't have those, they all dropped. His theory was it was because they didn't have those. You put them back on, that wasn't the case. And then next thing you know, it was the backlinks. He had too many backlinks. But right now I can say that the 2 pages, and I only had 2 pages out of all of our sites, only 2 pages dropped, and they were both the primary domain, um, where we're testing the theory that it's the anchor text ratios um, that caused that. And I've sent some backlinks to both of those sites already with new anchor text ratio uh, considerations, and one of them is already coming right back up. So
My observation of the past month or so is that the big update was December 31st. So that is something happened December 31st.
yeah.
Multiple SEO weather systems triggered on that one. Prior to that, the next biggest one was on December 25th. Now, what those were targeting, I don't know. But it caused Google to have to reprocess a lot of data. Before that, what we saw were a lot of A/B split tests in the Google search results. They were showing a version of mobile formatting for desktop versus the standard desktop formatting.
Mm-hmm.
And those A/B split tests became as common as about 20%. And so during that time frame in early to mid December, those split tests could have broken your rank tracker. The result of your rank tracker seeing those split tests would probably look like, massive wide scale drops in rankings. But if you were to manually go check those in Google, it would have been nothing wrong. It's because it broke the parsing of your rank tracking tool. Because they changed the HTML of the SERPs. So, my suspicion is that a lot of what people saw in early December is related to Google split testing.
That may be the case. Like 16th, I got hit, but the 25th and what you say, the other one was 31st. Nothing happened. As a matter of fact, we got raises. So, it's
Well,
such
events.
it's so hard, if they're changing it so much. That's why I like SEOs, but it is hard to figure out what the hell they did to move the needle. And in most cases, I think 99, probably 100% of us are just straight up guessing at this point.
Well, there's also this thing where people assume that an update means a drop in rankings, and that's not true. Google can update something and people can go up in rankings. And typically within rankings, for one to go up, one must go down, which has a net effect of still balanced from Google's standpoint. But yeah, it's a bit more complicated than just update means drop in rankings. Somebody has to go up for you to fall.
Yep, for sure. One change I would like to point out is that there's a lot of people. Glenn Allstop, I'm sure you know Glenn, and then a bunch of people on top of that I've seen that are getting unnatural link penalties in Search Console. And it's the unnatural link penalty notice that says we are devaluing some of your links to some of your pages. At the same time, they're seeing an increase in traffic. Unfortunately, Google doesn't make it as easy as saying these are the ones we're devaluing and these are the pages. So you got to kind of try to figure that out with your rank trackers. And like Ted said, that's kind of dinked right now. So it's going to be a little bit hard. But here's my recommendation. if you get an unnatural link penalty and your traffic is going up, like every one of these people that so far have had this instance, they got unnatural link penalty, their traffic went up. Leave it alone. Don't do a reconsideration request. Don't do a disavow file. Leave it alone and see what happens. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there's probably an error somewhere, and they might be trying to automate that unnatural link penalty message, and it's doing something weird. Because typically, when that message came out, they would say we're devaluing, but your entire site would drop, and you'd have to get that penalty lifted to get your entire site back up and ranking again. And in this case, these people are not seeing that their traffic and the rankings are going up. So definitely something to keep an eye out for, but don't panic and leave it alone, at least for now. Let's see, Ted. Unfortunately, in my case, it really dropped. I have to have a dig deeper in his comment topic. I'm in the finance niche. Yeah, so his site dropped in finance. Could be a your money, your life thing.
Well, the first thing you need is some data. So if you don't have Quora, hop onto Fiverr and find a Quora provider and get a $5 report. Find out how you're different than your higher ranking competitors and fix those deficits. Then, maybe look into getting an audit from Clint or another capable SEO. But you need some data. We can speculate all day long, but until we get some hard measurements, it's going to be hard to direct you.
Yeah. Honestly, I think even if I'm talking anchor text and I'm thinking that I'm probably right or I'm close to it in regards to my cases, but in yours, it may be completely different. So, and at the end of the day, I think we're probably both just talking out of our ass as to what they changed.
Without looking at understanding your situation, we can't really advise you. When people ask me, for help on something, I always have to start with, send me the Quora report. Let's look at the situation.
And if you do have Quora or you do have POP, let's say you can't afford Quora and you're using just POP, keep those reports so you can look at the differences. Ted's made it easy. He's got a diff tool. I pop 1 and 2 reports in and I can look at the differences. But if you don't have access to Quora, or you're using the Surfer SEO or a POP, keep your old reports and look at your new ones and see if you can see the changes in there. That's probably the best. I'll show you some ways to do it manually when I do my course too. So you use Ahrefs and Majestic and keep the baseline reports and start looking at. And so when these come up, that you're not guessing completely. You can make educated guesses versus just pulling it out your ass guesses. So. And let's see, and then that's it. Hey, Leon finally showed up. We can all start the show now.
We've been waiting.
All right, so let's see, closing it out. We talked about SIA. Again, we're starting a big push with that. We have Perry Belcher. Hopefully we can get something going to digital marketer guys. Whatranks.com, the course that is coming really quick. And that'll be built in. You'll be able to either buy the courses on a one-off thing or just join SIA and you'll get all the courses, new and old, that we make. The Anchor Text software is beta ready now, but you're going to have Java installed because I don't have the DMG or EXE set up. So if your Java is not on your computer, it's not going to work for you. It's in jar format. But at least I got something. If you want to try the beta on that, hit me up on Skype. You have to have a Ahrefs. We've accounted for people who don't have Ahrefs and are using Majestic, and created a CSV import. But right now you have to have Ahrefs if you want to try the beta. It's just it'll make it easier for you and us to understand the issues you're having. The Quora Automator is like I mentioned this before you came on, Ted. The licensing system that we put up is it's a SaaS. So instead of what you had it you running on that thing, that setup you showed me, we have it integrated with an actual SaaS. So I have name, email address, and all that stuff, and it just does it. And we had to rewrite the automator a little bit so that the code would actually work together. So they're cleaning that up, and I've been told, and I've been told this before, but I've been told that the stupid thing will be ready tomorrow.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and if it's ready tomorrow, again, hit me up on Skype because I need some beta testers for that. And again, you have to have Core to use it. Obviously. Um, but I think that's going to be really cool when that's out. I'm excited for that.
And on your Java one that doesn't have an installer, I can give you an hour or two on Friday. We can see if we can just hammer one out.
Okay, yeah, that'd be perfect. You can just kind of show me through the steps. I know that software is kind of a, so yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll talk to you about that, and we'll just kind of set that up. And let's see what else. And that's it. That's it for me. Ted, you and Kyle, Internet Marketing Gold, the new platform's out now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's yeah, we've got a lot of active users. We went from the old platform having no active users to the new platform having hundreds and hundreds of active users. And I'm a little overwhelmed. It's working too well.
Well, I think you all responded to the initial criticisms and bitches, gripes, complaints from the other one, and the new thing. It takes a little bit of time. I admit it takes a little bit of time to get used to the new interface. However, I think it's placed a lot better, and you can kind of click around and engage a little bit better too. So.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's definitely light years ahead of where we were, and it's a whole lot more than we could have ever, built custom from scratch, and so we had to make some compromises, but the important thing I think was really listening to our audience, because who would have thought that they would have known what's good?
Silly audience. You guys are also, I've seen you announced it in this pop core Skype group that you're closing down in February. That you have the paid version is already out. I haven't seen that myself, but what can people expect inside of that paid version?
And the paid version, you get into the priority conversation. So this is where we're spending most of our time talking about testing. This is where we're prototyping new solutions. This is where we're showing very new discoveries. It's kind of a more hopping place in terms of the expert content. So we kind of have the shell of like beginner to intermediate, but then our guru content really goes into that paid members.
Into the paid one. But it's not like some other groups where the good stuff is all under behind the paywall. You do share some good stuff in the free stuff too, right?
Yeah. Like what you'll typically find is we're not going to hide a Google update alert. So, I mean, that's just mean and cruel. Yeah. So we do give the alerts in the free section, but we have more data about them in the paid.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of like that in many regards. So you can get lots of information in the free section where we're showing articles and content and everything. But there's more specific expert information in the paid section. And, not everybody's going to need it. And we're always going to have a free component.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen that yet. But I think you guys will get some value out of that, especially if you are already in testing communities. It's always good to join another one. Like I said in the beginning, take other people's ideas, mix mash them, and come up with your own stuff. And that's how you learn and implement and become pretty damn successful, if I do say so myself.
the big thing that's coming out is Wicca.
Wicca.
Yep.
What the heck is Wicca?
Wicca is coming. Oh, it's so cool.
Are you becoming a witch? Are you joining you're joining the cult?
This is so cool. When you see it, you will think it's witchcraft.
That's awesome. Cool. And there's a teaser for you, for everyone. And let's close it out. SEO Fight Club. We have an episode tomorrow. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I think we're talking about SEO weather. So a brand new topic for the show. And we're going to just go into the ins and outs and what we've learned about trying to make our own weather alert system.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Looking forward to that. So with that being said, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Can't wait till daylight saving time goes away. It's the same as here. For SEO Fight Club. And thank you for watching SEO This Week, episode 147. I'll see you next week.